Okay, so the last two will be a little different. Previously, all the questions we did, I gave you, we don't have any variables, no x, y, z, a, b, c. It's all numbers. We call them numerical expressions. So what you have been doing is to simplify them or perform the operations. But now we're gonna put variables in here. So let's take a look at this expression. So it has x, y, z in there. So we call this algebraic expression. If you don't bother to remember the name, that's okay. But you know, that's a little different. So when you have these, right now we actually are doing something a little different. There is variables, there are variables in the expression, but we are also given the values of these variables. So you can see right here, we are given x is 2, y is 5. Sorry, the other one should be a z, not, I guess. Let me change it. Let me get rid of highlight. So that should be a z there, not 2. All right. So later on, we will be doing something like learning how to add algebraic expressions without being given some specific value numbers for the variables. So later we will be doing questions like, you're not going to have this. This will not be given. You don't know what x is. You don't know what a y is. You don't know what z is. You have to work with the just variables. But here it's a little easier. We do have expression with variables, but we know what they are. So, okay, so this is more like if you take a physics class, especially in physics class, or I think finance, accounting class. A lot of times, like if you want to calculate the for finance or accounting, you have formulas to calculate the interest or how much interest you got to pay and all those. So you have those formulas given, and everybody borrows certain amount of money, and the interest rate will change, will vary based on time, and so you will be plugging different numbers into the same formula. So this is sort of like that case. We have this expression. I give you these numbers, but I could give you different set of numbers, then you would be getting a different answer, right? So I could give you x equals 3, y equals 4, and z equals 10, and then you're still gonna plug them in there, and but you will get a different answer. All right, so you can see that what we need to do for these questions, first, you will plug in, you will replace x. Every time you see x here and there, you're going to replace it with 2 because that's what we're given. So 8 times 2. Again, between 8 and x, there's no symbol. That means multiplication. Now next times y. Y is 5. So I'm going to replace y with 5. And minus 5. Now x again, that's 2. And next is z. Z is 1. And plus 3 times y, which is 5. So whenever you see a variable, just replace it with the number, corresponding number. Z is 1. That's the first step you got to do. After you plug in all the numbers, now you can evaluate like we just did before, all those questions with only numbers. Now we follow the order of operations. So I'm going to do multiplications first. We'll be doing this, this, and that. That gives us some. There are a few properties. Let's see. That might make the calculation a little easier. So, for example, when you do 8 times 2 times 5, you could do 8 times, following the order left to right. 8 times 2, 16, and 16 times 5. That gives us 80. But it might be a little easier if you, let's show you a different way. If you apply a property, it's called associative. If you don't remember the name, that's okay. Associative property, which means you can multiply the last two numbers instead of the first two numbers. I can multiply 2 and 5 to get 10, and 8 times 10 is easier than 16 times 5. This is associative property. So you probably learned this, well, maybe the curriculum for elementary school has maybe have already changed, but my daughter right now is in the third grade, and she last semester she actually was learning all these properties, commutative, associative. I was actually very surprised. Okay, so these properties. So what is associative? It's like you either associate the first two numbers with the last two, but you cannot change the order. Okay, if you change the order, that's another property which is called a commutative property. Okay, so this might make things a little easier. So when you do the calculations, but I mean, you don't have to, but it's a little easier. And then we do 5 times 2 times 1, that's 10. 3 times 5 times 1, that's 15. We get 70 plus, maybe just slow down, get 85. Okay, so you may be able to skip this step if you want to.